Salamat pagi. Good morning. I hope I said that right. You can. I couldn't find a page on Google that actually pronounced it for me, but I think that's right. Here in Kuching, capital of Sarawak State. Today's turned out to be not quite how I planned it. I was supposed to be getting a hire car and going for a cruise out to the, well, at least to the, I think it's the Batu National Park, but it didn't eventuate. So here we are, just going to walk around the city again and give you a little bit of history of Kuching. Hopefully I've got it all right. If I haven't, you know who to blame. That's right, Chat GPT. But first, I want to find some traditional lunch. And by traditional lunch, a sort of traditional Australian lunch. I'm not going to eat Malay food this time. Next time, for dinner. I've had a lot of it. It's very nice food, especially that dish I had the other day, which I can't remember what it was called. The breakfast of the gods. That was fantastic. Great food. I think what I want is over there. All right, here we go. Western food. What to get? Grab a seat and work it out. Got myself some lunch. Steak sandwich. Very nice. And some salad. Very good. Now that was a nice lunch. Steak sandwich with salad. Very nice indeed. Now, where was I? That's right, I was going to hire a car, I think I mentioned, but that didn't eventuate, so we're just going to go back into the city, have a walk around. I'll give you a little bit of the history of Borneo in general. I've actually had a fascination with Borneo as a whole, as an island, since I was a boy. I remember reading a book when I was very young. I was a pretty voracious reader way back then, and still love to read now. Oh, we're back at the cats. And at one stage or another, I read a book, and I think I either read a book or saw a movie that was called The Wild Man of Borneo. I tried to look up some information on that, and I only came up with a book that was fairly recently written. So it obviously wasn't that one. But it is, that one also is a book that I would like to read, and I'm going to tell that story next time I come back to Borneo Island, because that's quite an interesting story too. But today, it's just going to be a little bit of a history thing. We'll see how it goes. Just there is the start of, I guess, Chinatown, the Chinatown area of Kuching. But what it was originally, about 200 years ago, was the Grand Bazaar. So that's the place where all the traders were selling their goods, probably the local fish, and put my rubbish away, and silks and whatnot. So now that we're in the older part of town, I can start my old story. So this goes back to before the White Raja. What's his name? Charles Brooke. Handy noise. Hang on, get past this noise. So, I've got to read this from my phone because I'm not that great of a storyteller. So yes, prior to the White Raja coming to power, there was the Indigenous people of Malay, of Borneo Island rather, and I've got listed 5 of them. There was the Iban, or the Sea Dayak. They were all referred to as the Dayaks. Forgive me if I'm saying that incorrectly. Now, they were originally known for their headhunting traditions, and they were skilled warriors, navigators, and farmers as well. So, the Badaya, the land Dayak, they were the agriculturalists. They were the farmers. They're known for the bamboo longhouses and spiritual traditions. The Kayan and the Kenya, skilled native people in metalwork, wood carving, and they also built large communal longhouses. The Murat, they were hunters. They were also headhunters. Now headhunters, that's the thing I remember about the book that I read about the headhunters of Borneo. Now, since I've done very little research prior to a couple of hours ago, so I'd always, read my books as a kid and thought, oh yeah, headhunting, bloke going killing people, the enemy with little darts and a blowpipe. The work of fiction. It wasn't until, and I'd forgotten all about it. Not something you keep in the forefront of your mind when you're travelling around. But when I started doing a little bit of research, then it all came back to me and I thought, wow, yes, that was actually fair dinkum. It was true and fascinating. Can you imagine being 200 years ago and having a tribe of the Murat people chasing after you through the jungles of Borneo, darts in blowpipes, just waiting to lop your head off. I don't know what they do, what you do with the head once you've got the head, but fascinating. It's always much nicer walking along these covered footpaths. Much cooler. It's very warm again today. Now, last but not least on our list is the Penan people. Traditionally nomadic people who were very spiritual and also had a good understanding, a deep understanding of the rainforests in which they lived. And that, of course, when the white people came in and started to deforest, pinch the wood that they thought would make good furniture or whatever it may be, clear land for farming. These people, the Penang people, put up a fair bit of resistance to that. So the first eco warriors, maybe. Not a bad building, that one. Not bad at all. I wonder how old it is. So that one there is 1886. I couldn't find it. Well, alright. There's a board out the front. Let's see if it says anything about the building. It could be the post office. I'm going to guess it's the post office. Up the top there, it says Dum Spiro Spero. Latin, probably Latin for post office. Is it? Yeah, I'm going to guess it still is. Still is the post office. These rather ornate columns at the front. Oh, the sun is so hot. So the Indigenous of Borneo. Main five groups of them. It's by no means is that all of them, and it's. I'm not delving very deep into their history. They did live in long houses, and a long house is where you have one large bamboo, usually bamboo, structure that multiple families would sleep in the one house. I guess for protection. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just tradition. It's just what they do. I think that's a church behind that tree there. So then, after the next in line, after the Indigenous people, along came. It is a church, yes. Along came Charles Brooke. I think it was Charles Brooke, not Brooks. And hello. He was a British adventurer who was just out exploring around Borneo Island, or around Southeast Asia in general, I guess, and he happened to help out the Sultan of Brunei. Now I'm not really that's about as far as I'm going on the Sultan of Brunei. I'll wait until I get there one day to talk a little bit about him, or that history. But Charles Brooks helped the Sultan of Brunei quell a rebellion here in Borneo. Oh, I'll go down that street as soon as I check out this mural. Malay girl with you guessed it, a cat. There's the guy's name, Leonard Xiao. Hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, so Charles Brooks, he helped quell the rebellion in, I think it was around 1840, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit earlier than that. And as a reward, the Sultan of Brunei made him the White Raja, I think, of Sarawak. Another nice mural here. Traditional. So, before we go on with Charles Brooke, the politics of the traditional Dalak people of Borneo were not much. They sort of, they had tribal councils and whatnot. I don't think they were at war with each other for, long extended periods of time. I'm sure there was disagreements and battles, etc. But they were long trading with Chinese and Javian, is that a word? The people from Indonesia for silks and beads and metal, metal implements and instruments, I guess knives and things like that. The Sultan of Brunei had a bit of influence. Nice little street, this. Yeah, he would trade with the Indigenous people, the Dalak people. Dalak? And then along came Charles Brooke. As I said, somewhere around, I should find out. Oh, pepper. Lots and lots of white pepper. So James Brooke, he came along, the English explorer from 1839. That's when he walking around all these cars. 1839, he arrived here in Borneo, I believe. And as I said, he helped the Sultan of Brunei quell a rebellion. And for his trouble, the Sultan in 1841 let him have the ruling power over the Sarawak. I'm just going to go with the Sarawak part of Borneo. I'm not 100% sure on that. Forgive me if I'm wrong. He might have had control over a much larger area. So he was actually the Raja of Sarawak. He sort of started to modernise the area, introduced policies, politics, trade agreements, etc. And he had the power here, but he was always recognised the Sultan of Brunei's sultancy. That's not the word for it, I know, but I can't say what was provided. Sultanise or something. It's a hard word. The breeze. Sit here and relax in the shade for a minute. This is where I got my boat from the other day. So Charles Brooke was married to Ranee Margaret, and she had quite a bit of influence. She was a very diplomatic lady, whereas Charles was a bit of a loner, a bit of a sulk from what I read, and they didn't manage to have any children, so he left no heirs whatsoever. So he gave, which I didn't even know was a thing, he gave his power, control, the Rajahship, I guess you could call it, I don't know, to his nephew, again named Charles, I believe. Ranee Margaret, she is one of the original women's rights activists in this area and probably others as well. I'm not sure how big England was on women's rights back in the day, but she promoted them here. She also had a bit to do with the welfare of the women. She introduced Western culture, so whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure some of it was appreciated, maybe not all of it, but and she also promoted the traditional arts and crafts of the Sarawakian people, bead making, use of beads, whatever you call that, bead making, weaving and sculpturing, wooden sculptures, that sort of thing. So I think she was a good influence on her husband Charles, but also left a bit of a legacy behind for the Indigenous people of Sarawak. Now that over there is Astana, and if you'd watched my last video, I found out, I claimed before I found out, I claimed that it was a palace, but then I read that it was the governor's residence, and I don't think the governor would call his residence a palace. But I was right, it was a palace. That was where good old Charles Brooke, bridge in the way now, where Charles Brooke resided, and his nephew, and I think the one after that as well. I think there was 3. Let me check that out. The crocodiles roared in anger, and the little mouse deer skipped off to join his laughing friends in the jungle. What's this? Tell a little story. There's a crocodile after the mouse deer. So it does. Yes, a little story. Story of Borneo. Actually, I think I might have read about this one in a book. I remember the crossing on the backs of the crocodiles. The mouse deer and the crocodile is the story. Very cool. Very cool indeed. So Ranee was the wife of the second Charles Brooke. Very confusing when they all have the same name. He was the second Charles Brooke, known as the Builder. Unsure why he was known as the Builder. Let's go and check out the floating mosque. So she did have a son to, I think the call to prayer has started. She did have a son to Charles Brooke, the Builder. A son also named as Charles, just to make it that little bit more confusing. So when her husband, Charles, the Builder, died, her son, Charles, he wouldn't let her have anything to do with the politics or diplomacy of Sarawak. So she hightailed it back to England. Still promoted. She travelled back to England quite a lot, promoting the, Sarawak in general, just saying, this is a great place. She also wrote a couple of books, a few books, I believe, about Sarawak and life here, back in the early 19th century. And she passed away in about 1936 in England. I'll wait till this call to prayer finishes. If that's what it is, it's a very restrained call to prayer. I've heard them numerous times and they're always quite feisty. But this one, not much going on. Masjid Bandar, Kuching, Masjid of India, 1834. So, Charles Viner Brooke, the third one to come along with the Charles name, son of Ranee Margaret. He became the White Raja of Sarawak in 1917 after his father's passing. And as I said, kicked his mother out, told her to go home back to England, which she did. And he did a pretty good job by all reports. He did introduce a constitution to Sarawak, which gave some, a little bit of political power back to the people of sorts. But then so he started his reign during the First World War, and then in 1941, during the Second World War, the Japanese invaded Sarawak or Borneo, and he scurried off back to England. But he did return after the war. He came back, I think, in 1945, but it didn't last very long. Now, what's this archway? Is this another archway to the... It is the Chinese part of town, Chinatown. Over here, looks like we've got another market. I haven't been down here before. This is very interesting. So yeah, he lasted until 1946. He apparently was under a lot of political pressure, and hello, and eventually ceded Sarawak to the British Empire, and Borneo, Sarawak, became another colony. It's all closed up. Another British colony in 1946. Then, now I'm going all by memory here. Don't shoot me. I think it was so they had, there's a British colony from 1946 till I think 1963. Somewhere around there anyway, where it became a state of its own right. The British ceded power over Sarawak. And since then, it's done pretty good. Wow, what's this car? It's a Toyota, but I've never seen one. Never seen one like that. Interesting. Alright, I've got to find a bottle of water. I don't know what they were. They looked like toenail clippings. But yeah. So that concludes my very poor telling of the history of Sarawak. Well, the history of Borneo Island. Now I'm going to have to come back here because now that I've been looking around, I've seen a fair bit of Kuching, but I really want to see more of the whole state. And I'll probably also head up into Brunei while I'm here, but I might I've got a few things planned, so I might have to wait a few months. But I will be back. Sarawak. Because you have a very, very interesting country. Electra House. I'm not sure what this here is, but I'm guessing that's been there for quite some time. That tower there, some sort of lookout tower perhaps. But yeah, I'll be back. I'm going to come back for a few weeks at least and get myself some transport and have a look around this fantastic state of Sarawak in its entirety. And I want to, of course, I want to get out into the jungle. I want to see what a real jungle's like. I'm sure that if you're going to find a good jungle anywhere, it's going to be here in Borneo. Guaranteed. Alright. Thanks for sticking it out if you did. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. From another country. Maybe not another country. Somewhere else. Alright, bye bye. Some really, really nice buildings here.